Hello again, everybody. Another little Friday morning story, and this time we went for Katie Morag. Why do you think I went for Katie Morag? Does anyone know where Katie Morag is set? That's right, it's Spain. Scotland, more precise, the Isle of Stray. Probably pronouncing that wrong. If my mummy or daddy is listening, feel free to correct me. So look, here we have a little picture of the isle. Not the whole isle, but of most of it. So we've got a little jetty, we've got a little shop and a post office together, which is very exciting. What's all this? The sea, the little village, very tiny little village, a little bridge, Miss Bayview's, High Farm, the holiday house, Lady Artists, the lady artists, and grannies. I don't know if everyone will know it as grannies, but maybe Katie will know it as grannies. And then over in the distance, you can see the mainland. Oh, over there, very far away. So, shall we read? This one is about the tiresome Ted. There was great excitement on the Isle of Stray. Miss McCall and at the post office had a new baby, and everyone was delighted. Everyone, that is, except Katie Morag. She had been in a bad mood ever since the new baby had arrived. No one talks to me anymore, she grumbled to herself, or brings me presents. Don't worry, everyone said knowingly. Katie Morag will soon get over it. But Katie Morag could not and would not get over it. She kept doing naughty things, like stamping her feet and nipping her little brother Liam. One day she was so cross, she stomped all the way down to the jetty and kicked her friendly old one-eyed teddy bear into the sea. Tiresome Ted! She shouted as he disappeared over the choppy waves. Look, there he goes flying into the sea. She needs to chill out. Chill out, Katie. Poor Ted. Miss McCall was at her wit's end. How can I cope with running the post office and with looking after the new baby and Liam when Katie Morag is behaving like this? She asked, throwing her arms up in despair. Mr. McCall said he was trying to help. Granny Island picked up a basket full of the baby's dirty washing and left, saying they could send Katie Morag over to stay with her if she became too much of a handful. Oh, she might get sent away. That night, the first of the winter storms battered at the window. Katie Morag couldn't sleep. She wondered what had become of her old Teddy, and she began to wish she hadn't thrown him away. Oh. She crept over to Liam's bed and took his hot water bottle, but it didn't make her feel much better. She stole a hot water bottle from Liam. The next morning, things seemed even worse. Katie Morag woke up to a wet bed. Liam thought it was very funny, but Miss McCall was furious. It was the last straw. I think perhaps Katie Morag should go to Granny Islands for a few days. After all, sighed Mr. McCall. She didn't have an accident. Look. Can you see? It was the water bottle. Water. Oh, Katie. Katie Morag trudged slowly over to Granny Islands on the other side of the bay. Having bad moods is very tiring, she thought to herself, and she was so engrossed with her own crossness that she didn't notice a familiar object being flung up by the waves in the oncoming tide. Can anyone see what it is? It's a hard one to spot. It looks like a bit of a wave. It's Ted! He's there! He's there! The bad weather lasted for 2 whole days and nights. Granny Island couldn't get on with the washing, and Katie Morag was forced to stay inside. She wondered how everyone was back at home. And all the while, her old teddy bear lay abandoned on the beach in front of Granny Island's house. He was a sorry sight. Oh, he's tangled up in a bunch of weeds. Or seaweed, actually, I think. At last the rain stopped and the sun came out. Katie Morag felt much better. She decided to stop being in a bad mood. She went down to the high tide line to collect driftwood for Granny's stove. Katie Morag found all sorts of interesting things that had been washed up by the storm. A ball for Liam, a box for Mr. McCall, a bottle for Mrs. McCall, and a beautiful big conch shell. I'll give this to the new baby, thought Katie Morag, and show her how to hear the sea. Two things. Can anyone see what's hiding in behind those bits of grass? That's a hard one. And another one. Maybe that person's playing hide and seek in the sand. Yes. It was only then that Katie Morag noticed the two furry arms sticking up through the seaweed. She couldn't believe her eyes. Old Ted wasn't lost after all. Katie Morag rushed back to Granny's and dried her Ted out by the stove. She filled his tummy with some fluffy sheep's wool, and then she laboriously began sewing up the large tear in his tummy. But even with his new eye on, he still looked worse for wear. When Granny wasn't looking, Katie Morag took something out of the washing basket. What was she stealing? I think it's some of the baby's clothes. The journey back to the post office seemed to take ages. Katie Morag couldn't wait to get home and to show everyone the things she had found by the shore. The other islanders were pleased to see Katie Morag looking like her old self again. She's got over it, they all said, nodding their heads. Everyone was happy. Thank you for the lovely presents, Katie Morag, said Mrs. McCall, and thank you, Granny Island, for doing all that washing. It's good to have our Katie Morag back and to see old Ted again, said Mr. McCall, smiling. I'll never, ever throw him away again, or call him tiresome Ted, she said. And she meant it. And nobody said a thing about the missing baby girl from Mrs. McCall's washing basket, which was perhaps just as well. The end. Look, there it is at night time. Looks very nice. I hope everyone enjoyed that story. That was quite a long one. Hope everyone has a lovely weekend. Toodaloo!